Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Yesterday, on this program, I was very honored and humbled about a gift that was given to me, and it is a very treasured piece of flag, if you will, and a piece of history. I'll tell you more about it in just a few moments. Right now, here's Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot. Where's our Patriots with our Pledge of Allegiance? Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you on a Wednesday. You know, it feels like a Tuesday because it should be, but it's not because Monday was a holiday. Oh, never mind. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. Glad to be with you with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of safe driving tires. Stop in and see them today. Also, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, Greystone Crossing, Independent Senior Living. Don't forget 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning again, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That
boy, Wheels, we appreciate it. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. They get there early in the morning at 7 a.m. to serve you with the best of tools and equipment you need to finish any kind of a construction project or whatever. And if you're going to be putting in new lawn sprinklers or water lines before the ground freezes up, I hate to think about that, you better get a hold of them today. They've got all the tools and equipment you need with Roger and the rest of his staff at K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. And here's Gina with the weather.
It looks like it's going to be another warm day for today, maybe some storm action for tomorrow and later on in the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today, slightly breezy out of the northwest at about 7 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 91. Tonight, more clouds are going to be rolling into the valley, dropping us down to about 58 in the overnight. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, but we do have a 20% chance of rain showers or thunderstorms in the forecast, mostly in the afternoon, with a high of 90. That's going to increase to 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow night, with a low of 57, and that could carry over for Friday. So it's going to be muggy, high of 91. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you very much, Gina. And, of course, our big thank yous go out to K&R Rental for sponsoring our right at the beginning weather forecast. K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. The number to call, Roger and the crew, to get more information, 678-3122. We're going to be doing things a little bit different in this first hour, and I want you to bear with me a little bit because I'm going to be doing a series of commercials, and I'll explain why in just a moment. I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, they are the best at what they do. That's not brag, that's a fact. And we've been going there for years and years and years. The best of dry cleaning, of take all your rumply crumplies in there, and they'll come back to you looking brand spanking new. And if you don't have time to do your own washing, they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mama used to do. Hey, I'm telling you, stop in and see them today. Nice people. Kevin and Cindy and the crew at Daryl's Cleaners. I want to say that again, Daryl's Cleaners. There you go, Zeb. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Really, really good people. Also, our big thank yous go out to a business that's been with us for a long time, ever since we started this program, as a matter of fact. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Don't forget they, too, open the doors early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and they provide all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Yep, make no doubt about it. They've got what you need and can help you, as they have for nearly 7 decades of being the best. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Don't forget that. Hey, by the way, our next lunch bunch will be on September 26th, and it's going to be a special red, white, and blue lunch bunch. And I'll be giving you more of the particulars as we go along. And it's going to be held at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And, of course, the best of breakfast and lunch and dinner and desserts anytime, all the time, with a great staff serving you. They have got phenomenal new add-ons to their menus. You're going to love them. I urge you to stop in and enjoy the great eating at America's Diner. It is Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and it is the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we're very proud to be there. I want to remind you the end of summer barbecue is coming up at the Rupert Senior Center, and that's going to be this Saturday, September 7th at 5 p.m. It's $10, and I urge you to attend. Minidoka County Senior Center, and end of summer barbecue coming up this weekend. Also, real quick, Ark Animal Hospital. You got dogs and kitty cats, and you want to keep them healthy? Well, there's only one place to go where you can rely on their professionalism and their expertise to take care of your animals and keep them healthy. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Number to call, 678-1177. I'll repeat that, 678-1177. And with all the things that can happen to your animals, cuts and bugs and bites and everything else, hey, get a hold of them today. They can and will take care of your animals to keep them healthy because they have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Ark Animal Hospital in Hayburn, 678-1177. Really, really good people. Yesterday, I was absolutely humbled and honored as David Fairchild and George Mass were in my studio to be talking about an event coming up on the 13th and 14th of September over in Rupert. And after the bulk of the program for that half hour, I was provided and given a gift by David Fairchild that I had to hold back some bubbly tears in my eyes because it was such an honor. It is sitting, what I'm talking about is sitting on the desk looking at me right now, and it is a flag, very neatly folded and put in glass. This flag has flown over Fort McHenry, National Monument and Historic Shrine. There is a certificate of authenticity. And as much of a history buff as I am and try to be, and reading about all the various wars and altercations that our country has gone through to survive as a country, this means more to me than I can even pass along. This flag right here flew over that very same fort that saw the devastation and the bombing and the lives given for preserving that flag over our great United States of America. Fort McHenry, located back in Baltimore, Maryland, and of course it was heavily besieged by the British in the War of 1812, and on September 13th, 1814, the British warships under the command of Vice Admiral Alexander Cochrane continually bombarded Fort McHenry for over 25 hours. At that same time, Francis Scott Key, a Washington lawyer, was on a truce ship and sat down with pen and paper, and as the flag emerged intact on the dawn of September 14th, Francis Scott Key was so moved that he began to compose a song which would be later named the Star-Spangled Banner, our national anthem. I thought this morning what I'm going to do, regardless of how much time it takes, I'm going to read all 4 verses of that song, and in the hopes that our national anthem will never be changed by anyone or any political group. Oh, say can you see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? On the shore dimly seen through the mists of the deep, where the foe's haughty host in dread silence reposes, what is that which the breeze over the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses? Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected, now shines in the stream. 'Tis the Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, long may it wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country, should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, thus be it ever, when free men shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation, blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us as a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you, David Fairchild. Thank you. I treasure this gift of this flag that flew over Fort McHenry. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I will be right there. Do not forget our friends up at Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch. They are going to have an absolutely phenomenal production sale that is coming up this Saturday. Do not miss it. Jerry Zollinger is going to be on the program a little bit later with us this morning, and you're going to be able to see top-notch colts and fillies from the best bloodlines in American Quarter Horse Association, let me tell you. And it's going to be at 11 o'clock at Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch up in Oakley. Do not miss this sale starting at 11 a.m. sharp at the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch up in Oakley this Saturday, September 7th. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. That's such a wonderful thing, that flag. It just about turns my heart over. You advertise the end of summer barbecue, and Modern Woodman is sponsoring that this year. And for that $10 that you pay to get in, Modern Woodman is going to match that $10 up to $2,500 again.
Very good.
And that'll make that a good event for them and give them a heck of a good fundraiser. And it's a little thing that this fat, ugly guy can do to help out our community in a small, small way.
Jerry, I appreciate everything you've done. I know we've worked together in the past on Modern Woodmen of America and different activities. Thank you for what you do. God's blessings to you, sir.
Well, it's not me that does it. You know that. It's Modern Woodmen. I just am the guy that does the paperwork to get it done.
All right, Jerry. We appreciate you.
Wonderful day, and what a beautiful story. May the Lord bless you and your whole audience today.
Thank you, Jerry. That means a lot. Good man. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Bell. I'm just going to take a minute. You know, you're the most deserving person I know to receive one of those flags. You do so much. You and your lovely wife do so much for the community and for the veterans. You know, we needed, hometown heroes here at home, too, and you are one of them. And thank you so much for all you do.
Donna, you made me bubble up. Oh, boy. God bless you. I guess you learned how to shut me up, and you did a good job.
Well, it made me tear up, too, when you were reading the story behind the flags. And, so many men and women fought and died for our freedoms today. And to see it decimated and dishonored the way it's being right now just breaks my heart.
Well, I got to tell you that I had Deanne bring back in this, I don't know what to call it as far as the way this flag is encased with the certificate of authenticity. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I had her put it back on my desk, facing me right now during this program. And emotionally reading all those verses of the great national anthem and thinking about Francis Scott Key sitting there on this ship and watching the devastation, the bombing, and the horrendous act of war, and writing this and knowing that this flag flew over that Fort McHenry. Whoa! It's humbling, let me tell you.
It really is. And David is such a sweet person.
Yes, he is.
He is just a very treasured friend. He and George go clear back into boot camp. And he awarded George one of those, I think it was 2 years ago, and it just made me cry.
Oh, my.
It's just awesome, and he does this every single year.
Well, it meant a lot to me, means a lot to me, and will continue to mean a lot to me. Donna, thank you for all your kind remarks.
You're very welcome, sir. You have a great day.
Thank you so much. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence to stay on the line. I'll be right there. I want to remind you, let your house welcome you home with perfect temperatures. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature anywhere. That's right. You better check with Ramsey Heating and Electric today. And along with Lennox, they're offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. So make yourself comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric, 678-0459, along with Lennox, and check them out. And go online, ramseysonline.com. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I am 39 years young, and every time I hear our national anthem, whether it be at a rodeo event or a sporting event or on the radio, I always get a little bit choked up because of what it means to me. And I know there's kids that are younger than me who it means a lot to as well, but it's all pride. It goes to show the whole world how we started, and I know that pride's still here in a few of us, not as many as it should be, but there are a few of us. And it's a one-of-a-kind feeling, and you got a great treasure there in your office. That is something that, I don't know how to put it any other way than that, my friend.
Well, Riley, you always add different and a very much appreciated dimension to our subjects. But this flag, I'm sitting here less than 2 feet away from it, and knowing that it flew over that fort that over 200 years ago saw such complete devastation and maiming and killing of people that were fighting for this country, woo, I mean, it does something to you.
It does, and that's what I'm trying to talk about, is it just having that and thinking about the past and those who they gave their fortunes, they gave their lives, many of them ended up giving up their families for the freedom that we have today.
Amen.
And for the time the flags was flying over that fort when it was attacked by the British, when we declared our independence and became a strong nation, that's something, I tell you.
Riley, I appreciate you, young man. You take care of yourself. Thank you so much.
You do that, and you have a wonderful day.
All right, sir. Wow, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Dino Septic Service, absolutely the best at what they do. And they do what we don't want to do. Septic tank pumping and liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned. I mean, they've got the best of backhoe services, septic tanks and drain fields installed, and mainline irrigation installation. They do it all. Dino Septic Service. Please get a hold of them today. 436-6526 or 678-1638. Yep, they're the best. Dino Septic Service with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Also, real quick, don't forget on Mondays we give away a dozen cookies to our friends at Sophie's Chatterbox. They supply the cookies because they've got the best bakery and a great restaurant at 530 East Street over in Rupert. That's at 8:30 on Mondays. Cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. You be listening. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. That was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh. And I don't know of a more deserving person to receive it.
Well, I'm very humbled. I did not know this was happening, and evidently my lovely bride did. And all of a sudden, they reached down below the desk, and I had not seen it come in or anything, and handed me this. And there are times that I show, and I'll use this terminology, and please understand why I say this, a little wussiness when I get wet, bubbly eyes. This occasion was one of them.
Oh yeah, it would be so humbling and so beautiful, and how appropriate.
Well, I appreciate it.
Literally gave their lives, and they used them to hold up the flag so that it would not fall.
The only thing I want from this day forward is a growing appreciation of this country and its past and its heritage and its lives that were given for what we have today. I got to tell you, Linda, that it has increased my feelings to stay on this program and keep fighting every day against the liberal left that absolutely wants to destroy the concept of America.
Yeah. Go, Zeb.
God bless you.
What you do is very, very important.
Yeah, thank you so much. And by the way, you are going to be getting a call from me in the next couple of days because I have something special to ask you.
Okay.
Okay. Now I've got your interest peaked, but I'm going to hold it there until I call. Thank you, Linda.
Oh, well, if I'm not here, leave me a message. Most of the time, I should be.
All right. Well, I guarantee you it's going to be something I think you'll really, really enjoy. So I'll be in touch. Thank you. All righty. Wonderful lady right there. And, you can go anywhere you want and hear the national anthem. Uh-huh. Baseball games, football games, rodeos. Nobody sings it as good as she does. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Coming up also this Saturday, there's going to be a big Bennett Boys auction sale. It's going to be the Ken and Joyce Allred moving sale. It's going to be over in Buell at 19818 Highway 30. Look for the sale signs. Lunch by the Cook Check. It's going to start at 10:30 Saturday morning, September 7th. Oh, this is going to be a ripping good sale. Farm equipment and machinery, yard and garden materials, shop items, lots of good ones, furniture and kitchen items, recreation items, including motorcycles, etc. You name it, it's going to be there at this sale coming up Saturday, September 7th in Buell, the Ken and Joyce Allred moving sale managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. Yep, Joe and the crew, no sale too big, no sale too small. Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I, too, was emotional yesterday when you got that award. I was listening intentionally, but I think you ought to take on a new motto that comes from a favorite song about America, and I won't back down. That should be your motto.
Well, I'm going to write that down. I won't back down. I will not back down. You know, it's interesting. I'm an old man. I mean, compared to a lot of radio people and personalities, I mean, Limbaugh and myself and others are getting a little long in the tooth. But there is one reason why I'm on the radio still, Keith, and I haven't discussed this with you or anyone personally or to a group. And that reason is the 2020 elections. I am so committed to seeing what's going to happen, what may happen up until the 2020 elections, that I'm very concerned, and I'm not going to back down. I'm going to keep up the fight, and if I don't do it, who is?
I don't know, but I think I'm going to feel sorry for Idaho Power before it's over with, because you won't back down.
No, as a matter of fact, if they think that this old cowboy is going to unsaddle his horse and go to the bunkhouse and hide behind the door, they've got another thing coming. Idaho Power owes you and I and every one of their ratepayers a huge apology, and they also owe them the right of asking questions to Idaho Power about what they're doing. And until they crawl out from underneath their desk and show a backbone, you can bet the farm that I'm going to keep hammering them.
Well, I don't want you to ever come after me, because I will be looking for that rock to hide under.
I have no reason to ever come after you and Nancy. And besides that, if I came after you, I might relinquish my helpful attitude of your wife with the sugar cookies. I don't want to lose those. Thanks, Keith.
I know what you mean.
Thank you so much.
I am privileged to spend every day of my life with her.
She's a wonderful lady.
I love her very much.
Well, and I feel the same about Deanne. I mean, without her, I'm talking about my wife, Deanne, I absolutely would be a man in the desert right now with no way to find the canteen. She absolutely is great. Thank you so much.
Well, you know, I'd like to say one other thing about Deanne. She don't ask for anything. She just gives.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. Keith, thank you. You've been a great caller. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I like that. I won't back down. I made a commitment when I started this program that I'm not going to kowtow to anybody. I'm certainly not going to alter my opinion. If I think I'm right, I'm going to stay there. And there are various subjects where Keith's right. I'm going to adopt that. I won't back down. Thank you. I'd like some more calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. And I'd like to remind everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And out behind that location, they've got a great big old sandbox, basically. And they'll teach you, if you're not sure how to run the equipment, they'll teach you. They'll give you kind of a one-on-one teaching course on how to do this, how to dig, level, and all the other things. Push, carry, whatever you need equipment for, they'll teach you how to do it. Then another location at 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli, and then the Nampa location. They've got them all. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, all the Bobcats. They've got all the equipment you need. Barry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Stop in. See them today. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The beauty, and I underline that word, the beauty of the language that was used in writing our Star-Spangled Banner. The phrases and the beauty of the word connection. One that really caught my eye in verse 2 was, as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses. Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam. In full glory reflected, now shines in the stream. It's the Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, long may it wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Wow! I mean, here's Francis Scott Key, a lawyer, sitting on a truce ship trying to free a prisoner, and sees all this bombardment, mayhem, and chaos, and war, and writes all this through the night. And when dawn approaches, and the first light, he says, in full glory reflected, now shines in the stream, why, it's the Star-Spangled Banner, still flying high. Oh, long may it wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Wow! I mean, you can talk about all your poets, you can talk about all the great writings and everything, but I don't think that Francis Scott Key has ever received the accolades that he deserves for extremely well-written lyrics. And then he gets to verse number 4, and he says, then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust. Whoa! If you are younger and didn't receive, I'm going to come right out and bluntly say this, the proper education on what our country and our flag means, and you're going, that old man, he's sitting on the radio just kind of expounding on the flag, and it's kind of boring to you. I pity you. I pity you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I'd like to hear from you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Well, I'm good, too, and I appreciate you going over the words of the Star-Spangled Banner. I have often felt that certain things in this early government of ours, which includes the Star-Spangled Banner, wasn't just written, it was inspired by God.
Ma'am, I could not have said it any better than you just did. But let me ask you a question, and this is something that has bothered me for quite some time. There are those in our midst, there are those in this area, and there are other groups around the country that want to take away that song and replace it. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are anything that's inspired by God, man cannot do better. I think that there's some beautiful patriotic songs, but I am very proud to know that this is our national anthem.
And again, I thank you for your comments, because you just opened the door for another segment of my thinking that I believe it was God-inspired. I believe that the fear of sitting there on the ocean and watching this devastating war going on and not worrying about their lives, but worrying about whether our country was going to survive, and the next morning at dawn seeing up on that flagpole, that flag flying high, that was the end of the British domination, and basically the war was over because we won, they lost, and our country is still intact.
Right. He knew that that was the turning point, and he knew he had loved ones, personal loved ones back there on the shore. You can't tell me that he wasn't worried sick about the whole situation.
Absolutely.
It was a very profound moment in time.
I think, I'd like you to respond to this quickly and then I'll take another call, but I think one thing that we are not being fair to ourselves, and when I say ourselves, our entirety of our country, I don't think we're being fair in not really understanding and hearing the other three verses.
Oh, I agree. You very rarely know them or hear them. I know, I think I was fairly old before I realized, oh, hey, that's not all of it. There's a lot more to this.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
I think that they ought to use it as some literature in your schooling. I think that we should use a lot of our early documents as learning literature, where you're learning the literature, but you're also learning your history.
Thank you, and believe me, as much as I can and where I can, I'm going to continue to use all four verses as much as I possibly can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
See, this is the thing. Our children don't know our history. They're not being taught our history. They're being indoctrinated about every foul thing you can think of. Primarily environmentalism and sexualism. They're not learning. Sure, there are some, and I guess I need to. I no longer have children in school, but I have grandchildren in school, and I guess I need to start talking to them, find out what they're learning down there. I used to make frequent trips down to the school, but this is the thing. Our children have to know, or this thing will be lost. And we can't let this go. And believe me, something that was a gift from God, inspired of God, America, the national anthem, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, we cannot ignore it. I have to fight with every fiber of my being to save this. Would I be willing to die for it? Yesterday it came up in a conversation I had. And I said, well, I guess I would. But if we don't fight with, if we don't fight together and with logical intelligence, we won't win. But we can't ignore it and just think that somebody else is going to do our job for us. It ain't happening, and the evil is surrounding us. And we've got to fight back, and maybe there's tons of people out there who are quietly patriotic and willing to do whatever they need to, who would never say a word. And maybe that's the majority that is, we don't know about, because not everybody calls in on the radio.
Well, that's true, but the thing is, Randy, for those that are afraid or inhibited or shy, those are 3 words I'll use right there, to speak out and speak up for this country, I will work for them. I will be their mouthpiece. I will continue doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to, like Keith Cottom said earlier, don't back down. I'm not ever going to back down. But more people like you, and more people that do call in, they have to be very vocal and not ask, but demand that we keep the culture and the sacred heritage and all the blood, sweat, and tears that were given for us, that we maintain this United States of America, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and not let the sleaze wash it down the gutter.
Well, this is the thing. There's secret combinations where they have agreements that are going on behind the scenes for environmentalism, secularism, communism, everything to destroy our country. Our entire, every state house in the union is infested with it to a point. Idaho would be the least. The federal government is so infested with this kind of foul thing that I think that we think we know. I think that we would be shocked to know just how bad it is. And how do you root it out?
Yeah.
I guess, we have opportunity every day. Enough opportunities that are seized will make a blessing. Enough blessings that are acted upon creates a miracle. We need a miracle. I'm going to hang up.
All right, Randy, I appreciate your call, old buddy. I appreciate it. And caller number 2, I have a weather forecast. I'll be right with you, I promise. Don't forget our weather brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they have the best interest for your hearing health in mind. And absolutely, they will sit down. They will have a hearing screening. They'll go over what you're not being able to hear. They'll talk about different options. I urge you to get a hold of them today for a hearing evaluation at 312-0957. I'll say that number again, 312-0957. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It looks like it's going to be another warm day for today, maybe some storm action for tomorrow and later on in the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today, slightly breezy out of the northwest at about 7 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 91. Tonight, more clouds are going to be rolling into the valley, dropping us down to about 58 in the overnight. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, but we do have a 20% chance of rain showers or thunderstorms in the forecast, mostly in the afternoon, with a high of 90. That's going to increase to 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow night, with a low of 57, and that could carry over for Friday. So it's going to be muggy, high of 91. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebedee.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you, and brought to you by some really good friends of ours. And I urge you to get a hold of them today if you're noticing any loss of hearing. They can and they will help you. Please call them 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, there to serve you. Caller, thank you for your patience. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Answer the question that Randy just called in. Hats off to Dr. Cox, the superintendent of the Minidoka schools. He is stepping forward and getting flag education to our young people.
Wonderful. And more should follow suit.
Yeah, we just, let's hope that Cassia, Twin Falls County, all of them get on board, and it's a pilot deal we're doing, and let's hope it succeeds, and it's going to help our teachers and our youth.
Well, while you're on the phone, George, I want to give you a great big slap on the back and kudos for all that you have done. And there's so much that you've done to reinstill a feeling of pride and heritage and pride in that flag and pride in this country. And I thank you for all you do. Thank you so much.
I could not do it, Zeb, without the support of you, the city, Rupert Kelly Anson, Dave Fairchild, and all my sponsors.
I'm pretty humbled this morning, George, because that flag and my Fort McHenry authenticity gift means so much to me. Thank you.
Yeah, puts a lump in your throat, my friend.
It did. It did. Thank you. There's a man that has been committed over the many, many years to his area, his community, and also his country, and I thank him very much. George Mass and Dave Fairchild, thank you so much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, they talk about songwriters today. Think about it. And I think I'm qualified to say what I'm about to say. But think about back into the 50s and 60s and 70s. You know, the rock and roll era when it was really at a peak. Think about the lyrics. Really think about the lyrics. There really wasn't much to most of the songs. And then think about the love songs, you know, the Sinatras and the Doris Days, and think about the Perry Comos. And for those of you that are too young to even know who the heck am I talking about, look it up. But the lyrics. And then think about this song penned by an attorney well over 200 years ago. And the absolute beauty of the words and the amplification of the words as to what he saw, was living through, and wanted to project for the future. Especially the last phrase, excuse me, or last line in every one of the verses. Or the land of the free and the home of the brave. There's a lot of foresight there. There's a lot of prayer. There's a lot of wishing. There's a lot of hoping for a better future. Or the land of the free and the home of the brave. I certainly hope we don't lose the value of that last line in every single phrase of that song. All 4 verses. God bless the United States. God bless what this country has been through, gone through, and the people that have supported it and given their lives for you and I to be sitting here today. I want to take this time to thank our wonderful sponsor, our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for any and all vehicles. Whether it's your car, your pickup, your SUV, boat trailer, camp trailer, a lot of camp trailers heading for the hills for hunting season. They've got all the tires, all the sizes, everything, all the different tread designs for your kind of driving. Now just stop in and talk to them and say, hey, this is how I drive, this is where I go mostly and everything. They've got the tires that will work for you. Please get a hold of them today. Stop in at any one of the 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pauline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best. That's the best way to say it. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, quickly, I've got a minute left.
With all the other callers today, you are the most deserving man of that flag that I know.
That means a lot to me, Doug. Thank you.
Yes, and just think, if it wasn't for the selflessness of our founding fathers, we would not be the country we are today. They risked everything. A lot of them lost everything, their family, their fortunes, to make this the country it is.
Well, you look at the situation like with Fort McHenry or any of the wars, Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, you can go right on down the list. I don't care. Civil War. On both sides, the Confederacy and the Union, and the love of country and the love of God. And for someone to diminish our history, and for some people and some groups and some politicos to sit there and say, well, that statue offends me. You know what? That offends me when they take down these statues, and I'll tell you what. These were still God-loving country people that really were advocates of the United States and their family's future. And for us to diminish history and take down tributes or statues, Doug, this is ridiculous. It should never happen in this country.
It should never happen. But if I remember correctly, it's happened once before in history.
Absolutely.
Where they got rid of things they didn't agree with, where they got rid of books they didn't agree with.
Absolutely.
And that was Adolf Hitler. If we want to go down the road of Adolf Hitler, just keep up doing what you're doing.
Well, all I can tell you is I'm out of time, but I want to have your response to this. I've asked others this morning, that song, that great, great song, our Star Spangled Banner, it will never change as far as I'm concerned. Your thoughts quickly.
No. It makes the hair on the back of my neck tingle every time I hear it. Makes me proud.
Amen.
The country I was born and raised in makes me feel blessed.
Amen.
That this is the country I was born and raised in.
Got to go to the news. I appreciate you, my dear friend. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Everybody, do what you can for the senior centers.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll be back in 7 minutes. Don't go away, Zeb at the Ranch. And a good morning. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on this Wednesday, September 4th. I know if you're like me with that Monday holiday, you keep thinking, well, today's Tuesday. No, it's not. I've already made that mistake verbally a couple of times. Welcome back. Our major sponsor, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best and safest of tires for your driving. And along with some of our great advertisers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Wonderful people. And also Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Wheels, can we have this good word for Western Waste?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services,
Don't forget, they're always at your disposal. And if you need a dumpster, and Paul Thompson, Pastor Paul Thompson is in my office. He says, yeah, Zeb, you need a dumpster. If you need a dumpster, they'll bring one out. They'll drop it off. You fill it up, they'll come get it. They've got dumpsters in various sizes. I'll take an extra large, please. And fill it up, and they'll take care of your trash. Call them today. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. I want to urge you this morning at 10:30, we're going to be talking to Jerry Zollinger, and of course, Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch has been breeding top quality quarter horses for over 70 years. And this year is the 31st year of their great production sale. 40 lots are going to be sold this year. Fillies, colts, great bloodlines. Don't miss this. Put it on your calendar for this Saturday, September 7th at Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch up in Oakley. You will be so glad to be there. Let me tell you, we're going to talk to Jerry at 10:30. 11 a.m. starting time of this big sale up at the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch for 2019. Want to also remind you and thank you to our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary, and of course they are always there to serve you and your family, and always your family can depend upon being served with the best possible support and comfort when there's the loss of a loved one. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, the number to call 436-5636, and they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you, and also Joel Heward serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. I have a man that has become a friend of this program and has done an outstanding job in sharing his values, if you will, and also my values as to what is going on in this country that may not be according to the Bible and God's prophecy. And we're seeing a lot more of that on an everyday basis. Pastor Paul Thompson, Eastside Baptist Church. Can I try that again without biting my tongue? Eastside Baptist Church in Twin Falls. That was a tongue biter. Right there. You go. All right. How are you?
I'm well, Zeb, and it's a pleasure to see you again. Thanks for having me on the program.
Paul, recently I was a little bit more than miffed when I heard the Democratic Party in their press releases say that they are the party to welcome non-religious people to their party for 2020. To some people that might not sound like very much, but to me, after what happened at the Democratic Convention a couple of years ago, where basically they denounced God and religion, as a pastor, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, well, it shows a lack of fear for God, one, and it's a denial. It's essentially, we could open up the Bible to Romans chapter 1 and see that here's the progression of what happens when people begin to suppress the truth. They want to remove it from the public discourse, and they want to then reevaluate or recreate their own value system, which is, whenever you called me earlier this week and wanted to talk about this, I went and read their resolution or their statement that they've made here just a couple of weeks ago, and it shows completely that they have abandoned the ship of the fear of God, and they've taken on the responsibility in their eyes of creating a new value or a new standard in which they want to call all people into to basically hear their song or to dance to their dance, if you will.
Yeah, I'm hearing without you saying it, but I'm going to say it myself. It's almost like they are taking over the religion of humanism.
Oh yeah, exactly. And actually, humanism is one of the things that they embrace in this resolution, or this statement that they make, that they're taking everything holy and everything ancient and everything biblical out of the framework and to create their own creation of a value. They're saying essentially, we are the ones who know better what to do than God does.
They have put themselves on the throne as a God group.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're not.
Right. And they're doing everything that the Bible says and warns of people that if you do this, disaster will follow this eventually.
You know, Paul, when you look at this situation, I got to be frank with you, and we've talked about this on the phone privately. My concerns for this next election and my concerns leading up to the next election are greater than ever. I'm an old man, and I've seen a lot of presidential elections, and I am very fearful about where we are in this country and how lax we have become regarding rules, regulatory means, and respect for the law.
Oh, yeah. Lax is probably an easy or a soft word to use here. This is actually a place where the culture is wanting to take an aggressive step against the historic values of morality from the Bible, morality of a nation that is established to not only protect herself, but to protect even the most vulnerable in our culture. And whenever you remove that framework, you are not strengthening your nation, you're weakening her, and eventually she'll be at such a place where she has no foundation under her. She'll be sinking in the sand.
Do you agree, and it sounds like you do, with like even Judge Jeanine Pirro on her television show the other night said, quote, "There is a plot to remake America."
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with what exactly she was saying, but I would agree.
She was talking about all the... I got it right here, as a matter of fact. She said that you can see everything is upside down. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, law and order, respect for authority. Those are the things we're talking about.
They are, and they are completely upside down. That is true.
I guess the bottom line to me as a Christian is, and you as a pastor would be, the reason is we've got too far away from God.
We have, and at one level you can see that ungodly, or as the Democrat Party wants to put here, the unreligious, you can understand that they're far from God. But the greater tragedy here is that the church, who claims to be near God or claims to be a follower of God, has moved further away from God, and that's part
clarify
of the problem.
that though, Paul. The church, you said the church as a sole entity. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so I would say in the universal church, not the universalist who believes everything and anybody can get you to God, but the church across the planet, the evangelical church, the God-fearing, the Bible-believing church. By the way, I guess I should preface this. I do believe that the God-fearing, Bible-believing church is still strong. She's still needed. She's still present. She still has a voice. But by and large, the denominational attachment, the historical denominational attachment, is moving further and further away.
Yeah.
So to not be the denomination or the church, if you will, that is opposed to the people who are what we would call marginalized or unrepresented, which is what appears to be what the Democrat Party is wanting to say. They're the party of the the unrepresented, unreligious.
How concerned are you? And I know you've studied this, and I know you've read about this subject in previous conversations, but at first, when I heard that the Democrats were going to be basically a godless party and welcome in, I'm just going to call it what I see it, as evil, I thought, well, yeah, but their numbers are minuscule. But their numbers are growing. That concerns me greatly.
Yeah, there is concern, no doubt, and I think that certainly we're in a political atmosphere where we're going to see over the next 2 years, as this election cycle vamps up and we get the rhetoric that was going to come from all places, we're going to see that the place where we are at the end of this is far down the road from where any of us really thought we were.
Yeah.
We have a lot, and by we here, I'm meaning the church, and maybe even more specifically, I'm meaning pastors like myself. Our duty in a community is to never substitute truth with that which we think will gather people to come to us. Our duty is the truth.
Let me ask you this, and if you don't want to speculate on this with your own opinion, I will understand, because it's a little bit removed from what we're saying, but when you read the Bible, and you don't necessarily have to stay in the New Testament. You can go back to chapters like Jeremiah, if you will, and read about the great fall of Babylon. I'm almost entertaining thoughts that we could be the great Babylon in that Bible, and we're going down.
Yeah, there certainly is a lot of parallel between the two, and you know, would we be equivalent to? And I think we probably are in this respect, that the great United States of America, if the church doesn't really wake up the nation with the gospel, so that the church can't come in with a political banner to wave, because then we'll just become a political party. The church has something that nobody else has, and that is the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, and that is sinful men can be made right by repenting of their sins and believing in the Lord Jesus Christ.
But
yes.
Here's the caveat. The church has got to do this, but you and I have talked in the past. This is originally the idea and concept as to why I had you come on the program in the first place. I absolutely do not hear pastors standing up and warning congregate members what's going on.
Right, and they need to. We know even
why is there a fear to do this? Is it the collection plate?
Well, it could be in some cases, and it could be even as much the fear of men, maybe even more than the fear of the loss of money. That the fear, so they fear men more than they do God. Absolutely,
there shouldn't be pastors.
Yeah, I agree. The complexity, because our culture. Let me back up that even. The church has basically been promoting a cultural position that the church should be considered inside of a community friendly, and anything that we say that doesn't come across as friendly or welcoming, then we're in the position of not being loving. And so the church over the years has bought into this, and so now when she stands up to speak truth, everyone in the community calls truth unloving and unkind. When in all reality, truth is always kind, truth is always loving. If you're driving down the road and the bridge is out, and somebody loves you enough to stop you, they stand in the middle of the road and tell you to stop, don't go any further. If you do, you're going to fall off the bridge. That person's not being rude to you, is not being unkind to you. They're being loving and appreciative of you
honest.
as a fellow person. They're being honest.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a caller with a comment. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Good morning. I want to thank Pastor for bringing in Sharon Hadian to expose the evils and the dangers of Islam. And the other comment I wanted to make is that, George Mason's one of the founding fathers during the Constitutional Convention said that if we ever, as a nation, stop worshiping Jesus Christ as the Lord of the land, that Providence, which the term they use for God, would punish our country with natural calamities. And we see that happening. So I don't think all of this is weather cycles, yes, but, we'd have a hard time proving we're a Christian nation now with all the stuff, baby killing, etc., that's going on. But I want to thank Pastor for taking a stand and being one that's telling the truth.
I appreciate your call. That means a lot to both Pastor Paul and myself. Thank you. Caller number 2, I'll take your call, and then we'll go back with more questions for the pastor. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, you guys were just a minute ago talking about the fall of the city of Babylon, am I correct?
Yeah.
How people sinned so bad that their cities were utterly destroyed, their civilization. It's already happened in our time. In our time, if you look at South America, I think it's Chile or somewhere down that way, where I can't even think of the name now. That's the country, but it's happened before to great societies in our time, where they've forsaken God. They turned a blind eye to God. They don't want nothing to do with it. But whether religion it is, they've forsaken Him, and they fell asunder, and a lot of people died. China's a good example, and I'll let you go.
Appreciate it, caller. Thank you very much. We have one other call waiting on the other line. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Well, this is the thing. Yesterday I witnessed a scenario about how Big Brother in China and elsewhere in Europe, Western Europe, with the European Union and China, how they were monitoring literally everything that everybody did, so they would control their ability to go out and trade. In other words, in the Bible it talks about this. It's called the mark of the beast. And these people are so drowning in immediacy that they no longer care about anything other than just whatever is available to them right now. They have no sense of it. In the Bible it talks about this very thing. And it's such a terrible shame. I'm gonna hang up. I'm getting a call.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Respond kind of in general to all 3 callers, if you would.
Yeah, Zeb, I appreciate the callers. All 3 of them make good points, and the reality is this, that we have begun to embrace a non-wisdom position. So, as the Democrat Party is wanting to embrace a non-religious or an unreligious community to gather and to gain support to win their election process, that is essentially what the Bible would call that this is a place where no wisdom, no understanding can be successful against the Lord. And so when you embrace the non or the un of what is right and true, you are really embracing thin air. You're trying to build a platform on something that can't sustain anything, and which is the fall of Babylon, the fall of every great nation in the world. As the second caller made mention about the countries that were growing in strength in South America, Venezuela, Santiago, Chile, these nations that gave way to communism or socialism. Look at them today, and they're complete wrecks. They've forgotten God, and embraced humanism.
Absolutely. I can see right now that we're going to ask this question of you, Paul. Is there any opportunity for you to stay a little longer this morning?
Sure.
I've got other topics I need to get into. Wheels, my engineer, would you please get on the line with me just for a quick second? Wheels, are you there?
I am.
All right. Would you please call Mr. Brown, Michael Brown, and extend apologies and tell him I will be calling him for a reset on his meeting on our program next week? Would you do that for me? Because right now I'm going to hold Pastor Paul Thompson over a little bit longer. Would you mind doing that for me?
Yep, I'll call him real quick.
Good young man. Thank you. Let me ask you about this. What are you telling your congregation? I mean, what are you personally standing up at the pulpit on Sundays and telling your congregation? It's easy to say what other people should be saying, but what are you saying?
Yeah, Zeb, I find myself as a pastor, I have one primary duty, and that is I open up the Word of God and I preach, this is what God says. And so what I tell my congregation is, know who God is. If you don't know who God is, you won't be able to stand against the push against Him. So the duty that I have as a pastor is not to persuade a people. And I let me say this: I understand that part of what I do will persuade people to act in a particular way politically. But my duty is not really to say vote for this person or that person. However, I'm not afraid to do that, and I have done this, and I have spoken. Here's who I'm voting for, and I communicate that quite openly. I'm not afraid.
Let me interrupt you right there.
Yeah.
I absolutely applaud you for saying that, because I think the cowardice, and I'm going to use that word, and if it offends somebody, that's their problem. The cowardice that is behind the pulpit right now is they don't want to say anything that's going to, that's going to cause a problem. Oh, somebody might grab their robe after church and say, Pastor, don't say that. Yeah. I mean, the cowardice is there. We have to speak out, because if evil is reigning on one side of politics, you better tell the people what it is coming to them in the shape and the form that's going to hurt them and their family.
Yeah, we really do. And the Proverbs puts it this way in chapter 21, verse 30, no wisdom, no understanding, and no counsel will prevail against the Lord.
That's right.
So the church, the pulpit's duty is to put truth, to put wisdom, to put counsel in front of the people. And then to trust that the Holy Spirit's going to move the people to then act appropriately in the community.
Let me ask you this, and I would appreciate your honesty to the 100th degree. Has anybody in your congregation ever come up and said, Pastor, we just assume you didn't say that?
Yeah, I really haven't had a lot of pushback from people saying we wish you'd pull back on the rhetoric of that which sounds like it's political. I get more appreciation. Thank you for speaking on these matters. Thank you for addressing these matters. Thank you for the first caller that came in during this hour spoke about Sharon Hadian that we brought in a couple of years ago. Yep. To address the truth between the Bible and the Quran. Unless we talk about those things, the people will continue to hear the lie.
Well, not only hear the lie, but accept the lie.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm afraid of, is that there is an acceptance factor going on, whether it's in Magic Valley, whether it's in Treasure Valley, whether it's in any part of the country. There's an acceptance right now of evil, and there's a denunciation and a repudiation of the Bible and what it says. And I don't care what anybody says. I see it every day.
Yeah.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every day. Zeb, right now, I've been working with my own city council for months now concerning Planned Parenthood inside the city limits of Twin Falls. Yep. And so even here's another one of those places where the church has largely taken a not only a back seat position, but really the church has even given herself a gag order to not talk about.
Why?
And it could be lots of things. It could be the fear, again, of men. It could be the fear of the fact that there are probably women in our churches that have had abortions, and if the idea gets put out there that if we say things against it, that we're actually offending those who have.
But there again, I got to stop you again, Paul. Pardon me, it's rude to do this, but you're making points that we need to address. Might offend human beings. Listen, man, on this program, I've long lost the caring about offending somebody if I tell the truth.
Right.
Isn't that what the Bible is?
Yeah, it is. It is. And so the truth, again, back to some of the earlier points that we were making, that the truth is actually one of the most loving things that a church can do, is speak the truth into the community. The Apostle Paul tells Timothy, a young pastor, you are the pillar and the buttress of truth. Well, what happens if the pillar and the buttress of truth isn't present or crumbles, or the whole of society isn't built on this pillar and this buttress? Well, then we have the unreligious party of the Democrat Party that wants to now build a new value on something that is not built on truth.
When you say the word values, it's really cheapened when you connect it with the Democratic Party. What kind of values can you have when you're an advocate of abortion? And I'm going to leave it hang there for a moment, if you will, because I've got to pay some bills. I'm going to ask you to extend yourself time-wise for the next half hour. I had another guest scheduled, but I'm having too much interest in what you have to say. Stand by. More with Pastor Paul Thompson in just a moment. I want to remind everybody about our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Absolutely, they're helping me, and they can help you. I don't care if you're recouping from a surgery or an injury or maybe some sports injury. The fact is they can and they will help you. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists, highly trained with all the exercises and the use of that hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in this area. I urge you to call the number right now, 678-1191. I'll repeat it, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They are waiting right this moment to serve you. Talk about serving you. I also want to remind you about Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric. Let your house kind of welcome you with perfect temperatures with the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, along with Ramsey Heating and Electric, featuring remote control access so you can adjust your house's temperature anywhere. Call them today, Ramsey Heating and Electric, at 678-0459. And they, along with Lennox, are offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Get a hold of them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Once again, we're on the air with Pastor Paul Thompson with the Eastside Baptist Church in Twin Falls, and we're going to have more with him in just a moment. My good friend Jeff over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I mean, they are at a busy, busy time right now, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of people, we're going to see a drastic change in the weather the next couple of days, and people are going to be spending more time indoors. So if you're thinking about beautification and comfortization of your home, I know a place to go. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Oberlin in Burley. They, of course, have the great selection of all the mattresses and all the carpet and the luxury vinyl planks and all the furniture, all the recliners. What are you waiting for? Stop in today and visit with the real professionals in furniture, carpet, everything at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Oberlin in Burley. Really great people to work with. And last but not least, let's not forget our friends at Let's Ride. I don't know if Pastor Thompson goes up in the hills or not, but I'll tell you what, we've got four-wheelers, and we purchased them at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. My goodness, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. They've got all the side-by-sides. They've got all the four-wheelers. And listen to this. The 2020 models are coming in, and they're making great deals on the 2019. Stop in today, and they've got a super service department to keep you running, too. Stop over to Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Pastor Paul Thompson, a good friend of this program, and I want to go through, if we may, and categorize some of the evil that I see in this world that's being amplified by the Democratic Party. A week ago, a candidate for the presidency and absolutely a man I think devoid of any class, Beto O'Rourke, has made many, many foul-mouthed statements. But he made one, and I'm going to paraphrase right now. I don't have the direct quote right in front of me, but he said that babies at full term have a right to die. I'm sure you heard this, and I'd like you to respond to it.
Yeah. I think I'd just like to leave some silent air. I'm not going to, but what do you say to that? I mean, how can that even be heard by a nation as a good thing to have said? Babies deserve to die.
I've never heard anything so ludicrous in my life.
What is he thinking, and why is he saying such a thing? That he's speaking about a fellow human being. He's talking about a neighbor
that is born at full term. But that baby has a right to die?
Right. Yeah. It is murderous. It is. Yeah. Anyone. What we need today, Zeb, is we need lawyers and judges who are willing to actually take the risk and say, we are no longer going to stand for this. And prosecute. We need prosecuting attorneys who are willing to go down to Planned Parenthoods. They're willing to go to hospitals that do this and say, if you're going to do this, we're going to prosecute you for murder. The tragedy right now is we don't have that.
Why isn't it murder? It's infanticide.
It is.
I've never in my life, I'm 71 years old, soon to be 72, God willing, I've never seen anything as heinous as politicians sitting there talking about a baby after it's born, laying on a gurney, and then making a decision, well, should we let it live or should we let it die? That's not the society that I grew up in.
No, it is not. And it's not any society that anybody wants to be a part of. Even these who are wanting to embrace this and advance this, they are going down the path of a society that they don't even want to be a part of. Because eventually someone will have to make a decision, or someone will make a decision concerning their own life, and there won't be a law to protect them.
As a pastor, we talk about abortion, but there's another side to the story, the bookend of this story, and that's the other side of the coin with a kind of a hemlock society to get rid of the elderly. So you've got the abortion issue, or infanticide, let's call it what it really is. Right. And then you also have the, oh, well, you're over 70, you're not worth anything to society, boom, you're dead. And I'm not exaggerating. We see kind of a push, if you will, to the middle.
Yeah, you really do. And Zeb, you may have to quit telling people how old you are on the radio, because you're in that ballpark area.
I don't back down for anybody.
Good for you. But it is true. The reality of what one side of this argument does and what it does to the other side of it, because we devalue life at one place, we devalue life at every place.
That's right.
Even if we start at this point and just say, well, we're just dealing with infants who can't contribute to society, and we're dealing with old people who are basically living on medication and in nursing homes, and they're really not adding to society. Listen, it won't take long that we'll start picking apart everything in the middle, because when you devalue life on either end, all of life is subject to being considered unvaluable.
Paul, I'm probably going to get really emotional talking about this, but I suffered quite a bit as a youth with polio. And it was a disease that in 1952 just devastated this country from sea to shining sea. And I guess what I'm saying and leading up to is I had people fighting for me.
Right.
I had people that weren't going to quit on me. I had people that were going to provide anything and everything they could, even though it was in a stage in our country where medical science had no idea really what they were doing. I had people that stuck me in an iron lung. I had people that prayed over me. And now to think that we have doctors and nurses and politicians that would put a baby on a gurney and put it in a closet until it expires.
Right.
I can't imagine this is a country that I was born in.
Right. It is a tragic thing that really right now, where is the voice that's standing up for the innocent?
I don't hear it.
Yeah, it's pretty silent. And the tragedy, again, Zeb, I put the ownership back upon the church. I'm a pastor of a church, and so I'm speaking even of my own kinsmen, my own house. That we've embraced more of the social positions. We've embraced the responsibility in the community to entertain a people, to care for children.
May I stop you again? Yeah. You just hit on something that absolutely infuriates me, and I think you're 100% right. That a lot of these pastors are nothing more more than showmen. They're snake oil salesmen that stand up in front of a church and they want to be remembered as the glorious man in the spotlight in front of their church giving the sermon. And I think you're 100% right. It's entertainment to many.
Oh,
I'll say it.
It really is, Zeb. And the pastor of the day gone by, his mantra would have been to preach, to give everything you've got into everything that you do, and at the end of the day in your preaching to be forgotten by the people. And that what you want to have advancing and what you want to have continued on is the truth of Scripture. That which does not change, that which is it goes from generation to generation. God, who doesn't change, gave us a word that doesn't change, and everything in this Bible fits every need that this culture has.
I know I'm repetitious when I say this, Paul, but I mean, I just do not understand the mindset of pastors that have the ability to stand up there at that pulpit on Sunday with a captivated audience and preach the Word of God as it applies to our everyday lifestyle and our everyday problems, but they are running, hiding, and not doing what they really should be doing to support their community.
Right. You know, I tell my church all the time that if ever, speaking about myself or anyone that I have fill my pulpit, if they don't open up the Word of God and preach from the Word of God, then my church needs to remove that such person from the pulpit.
I agree. We have a caller with a question or a comment. Go ahead, you're on the air.
I tell you, there are some religious organizations, I guess you could call them, Methodist, Presbyterian, others, that have, went into the gray area, when it comes to, allowing practicing LGBTQ people to come into the church. I understand that if you sin, and we all do, but if you are actively pursuing the sin and you're loved, sure, you need to be loved. But you can't have a church or a leader or an organization, a religious Christian organization, tolerating it or whatever you want to call it. It's not right. But they just do it to keep the numbers up. It's like you say, it's nothing more than a show. And as long as people are coming in and they're kicking in a few bucks to keep the whole show running, it's all right. Well, one day you're going to have to answer before your Heavenly Father. And I tell you what, there will be no gray. It'll be black and white. Oh, hang on.
Very good point. Respond to the caller, Paul, if you would.
Yeah, essentially what the Bible would say to this, men are always pursuing happiness. What brings us happiness? And the problem today is that we've not made God the pursuit of our happiness. We've made our own circumstances. We've made the moment our goal or our aim. The Bible says the blessed man or the happy man is the one who does not, he doesn't sit in the seat of the scoffers. He doesn't walk with the mockers, and he doesn't stand in the path with sinners, but he has delight. So the Bible says his delight. So man has a God-driven part of him that delights and has pleasure in this day. The problem is when we put our delight in the temporal rather than the eternal. We are eternal beings created by God to live for eternity, and when we put our hope on that which is temporal, we're setting it on the lesser.
Do you think, Paul, that, I'm not sure how to phrase this, you're standing up, you're being tough, and you're standing firm on your beliefs, and you're preaching the Bible as to how it is applicable to today's ways and means. But most pastors aren't, because they're afraid, and they're also just conforming to get along to go along with the good old boys in the church. But this number of these kinds of pastors is growing, and pretty soon I think it's going to be the death of religion.
Yeah, it certainly can be, Zeb. And one thing that I think I want to encourage the listener here right now is that if you belong to a church where your pastor faithfully stands in front of the congregation and they open up this ancient sacred text and they preach from it. They may not be the most polished person, they may not be the most entertaining person, but if you've got that kind of a pastor, you get all the way behind him.
Embrace him.
And embrace him all the way.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Caller, we have you on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Pastor and Zeb. You know, I belong to a church that teaches these things we're talking about from day one. When a child is 3 years old, we teach them the values of these things. And they just learn it gradually as they advance. In our church, there's not just one man. It's many and women who spread the gospel, and they know what is right, they know abortion is wrong and everything else, but they don't come on the radio because they don't want to confront people who are not going to listen to you anyway.
Caller, I disagree with the confrontation factor. I think people need to be somewhat slapped in the face and become aware of really what the problems are. I disagree to the point where we should just put our head under a rock and just let the world slide by.
Yeah, Zeb, I would even say here that there's this idea that we think if we do everything right inside the church, that the child or the people are going to be immune from the culture. Another secondary component here that I've not spoken much here this morning, and that is the institution of the family is completely broken today. And so if mom and dad take a child to a church and they get some religious teaching, but then they go back home and everything that they do at home is anti-God and opposed to the values that they're learning at home, then what's been done at the church has been completely undone. The Puritan writers noted this even in their culture, that if moms and dads didn't go home and reiterate and reinforce what they hear from the preached word, the children will embrace the cultural world.
Let me pursue that a little bit further with you right after I do a weather forecast. I want to talk about, can there be or will there be a possibility of re-implementing and restating how valuable the family is? We'll talk about that in just a moment. Weather forecast. I've got to get it on really quick right now, and it's brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. I mean, the best when it comes to you, your family, and your business with tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, all of this and so much more, with truly dedicated professionals serving you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It looks like it's going to be another warm day for today, maybe some storm action for tomorrow and later on in the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today, slightly breezy out of the northwest at about 7 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 91. Tonight, more clouds are going to be rolling into the valley, dropping us down to about 58 in the overnight. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, but we do have a 20% chance of rain showers or thunderstorms in the forecast, mostly in the afternoon, with a high of 90. That's going to increase to 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow night, with a low of 57, and that could carry over for Friday. It's going to be muggy, high of 91. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7-3.
And we appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. At 1710 Oberlin in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert, the best, the professionals serving you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Please get a hold of them today and let them help you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. You know, every night, my mom and dad. My mom worked as a secretary. My dad had a full-time job in the day, and then also Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights he had an evening job. They worked hard, really hard, to provide us with the best family atmosphere that we could have. But every single night, we all gathered around the table together, and we had family. We prayed before the meal. We talked about things that went on during the day, etc. Have we lost that?
Yeah, it appears that it is a matter that has has been on the slide away from where it was historically. Zeb, I could even tell you, as a child growing up, that was the normal experience in my household. We would, when we get up in the morning, we'd sit down for breakfast together, we'd pray together, we'd we'd read Scripture together, we'd go about our day, and then at the end of the day, we would sit there and we would think through how did the impact of Scripture have upon us in the decisions we made throughout the day. This is what is historically called family worship, where the family on a regular basis, or really for that matter on a daily basis, and the emphasis on it in being daily is because the culture doesn't quit, nor should the family quit. So our children, if there are children in your household, and even if there aren't, the importance of thinking biblically, rationalizing biblically, processing how we act biblically, we must not put that down in this culture.
You know, I've mentioned this next subject to you many times, I think, in past programs, but the culture that I was born and raised in, kind of like the front page cover of the old magazine that's gone but not forgotten, the Saturday Evening Post, showing mom and dad with the children in hand going to church on Sunday morning, or showing mom and dad sitting down at the table and having lunch or dinner with their family, or mom and dad as a family going to some recreation. I mean, the family unit was really prevalent on advertising, TV, etc. I mean, shows like Father Knows Best, Ozzie and Harriet. The list goes on and on and on about family, family, family.
Right.
The media has killed that today.
Yeah, the media has been on a propaganda move for decades to reinvent the family. Now, let's not miss the fact that families have always been broken. They always have broken components to them. So we're not ignoring that, and we're not denying that. But what's being presented now is that the broken is normal, the broken is expected, the broken should be embraced. The Bible tells us that because we are broken, we cannot sustain ourselves in our broken condition. So the hope that the church has, the hope that the Bible has, the hope that the gospel brings is that the broken condition of man is made right by Jesus Christ through His death on the cross, through His resurrection in the grave. So the hope that exists here is what the culture wants to say is no longer relevant. And the reason they don't want it to be relevant is because they know that the gospel stands in the way of them advancing their agenda.
But I guess the simplified question would be, how do we put the family back as most important? How do we rebuild that?
Yeah, well, it happens by moms and dads realizing right now, this is my most important responsibility. Yeah. This household with these children that God has blessed this household with, it is my responsibility. So I take that responsibility, and it's as odd as it may seem, because it's not been the normal existence in the home. You open up your Bible and you gather your children together. You read the Bible. Start with the book of Proverbs, and you'll have a lifetime of discussion right from the book of Proverbs.
There is so much to be learned in the book of Proverbs as to how to lead or not lead your life on a daily basis. Interestingly enough, 31 chapters, 31 days to a month.
Right. It's a perfect little workout for the calendar work.
You know, Paul, the problems we have today with the kind of the dissection, if you will, of the pizza of America. I put it in that phraseology. Take this piece out, put that piece out. Mm-hmm. And the dissecting, whether it's socialism or whether it's worrying about LGBT issues or whether it's worrying about our amendments being taken away, the First Amendment being taken away, the Second Amendment, gun control, whether it's climate change. I mean, all of these things are pieces of the pizza that are being taken away. And our country is really fragmented right now.
It really is, and it will remain fragmented as long as the church does not regain her position in the culture. The place that the church has in the culture is to be this place where a whole of community, whether they believe it or not, whether they embrace it or not, they know there's going to be a consistent work in the church house, and that work is going to be the people. It sounds like a broken record, but that people is going to sit down and they're going to open up their Bible and they're going to devote their lives to living out out what the Bible has instructed them to do in their lives. And so from this position, the family has been broken, the church has been broken, so as a result, society is broken.
Okay, but we've talked about the negativity. Do you see, not only from your perspective at the pulpit of your church, but around the area, around the world, as a matter of fact, is anything a light that's becoming brighter of positivity? Are there good things happening?
There really are, Zeb, and I appreciate you even asking that, because I think we can get so caught up on the negative side of things that we'll miss that there is a bright beam of hope. And it always rests within the truth of the gospel. And so there are pockets. We're seeing uprisings of states that are on the move. And this isn't just political legislators who are moving. They're being motivated by the truth of Scripture to abolish abortion in their cities, in their states. We're seeing an uptick of this at the same time where we're seeing the audacity of states like New York and other states who have gone to the full infanticide position. Yeah. But we are seeing hope that there is a movement happening in our nation right now in this particular arena of abortion, where we're seeing the church is engaged. The people are engaged, and the legislators are responding. They're not all the way in yet, but they are listening.
So, from your standpoint, if we could just turn the dial a little bit more to God and the Bible, this country, in your opinion, could start to see and share in some of the great wealth that we've had in the past. And I'm not talking monetary wealth. Yeah. I'm talking about the wealth of families, the wealth of living in the greatest country in the world.
Right. And, Zeb, we can even just look in world history and see that it is possible for places, for nations, for cities to repent and to turn back to. You can even take that ancient city of Nineveh was, by all descriptions in the Old Testament, a godless community to begin with. And God sends a messenger with hope. He sends Jonah to go and evangelize the city. And the result of that, even though it didn't last long, but there was a season of time that city of Nineveh turned to God. And God blessed the city. And God can do that again.
Pastor Paul Thompson, Eastside Baptist Church in Twin. Wow, did that hour go fast.
It really did, didn't it?
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, before I have to run to the news, I want to remind you again, let your house welcome you home with the perfect temperature. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. Don't forget, check it out right now at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Along with Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Call them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or visit them online, ramseysonline.com. Also, don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, all of this and so much more by people that really care about you, your family, and your business. They are dedicated to your needs. Please give them a call, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Pastor Paul Thompson, you're a dear friend. I appreciate it. God bless you for taking the time to come out here this morning.
Oh, thanks, Zeb. It's always good to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cruise on into the news. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, play that old piano. I love that theme music. And good morning. Welcome back to hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of safe driving tires. You stop in and see them today. Along with some of our great advertisers, which include Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And don't forget to Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, before we go to our guest, I want to remind you, too, about your electronic needs headquarters. That's, of course, Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Ever been there? Well, take the time, stop over, visit with Curtis and Lorena and the staff. They are your, like I said, electronic needs headquarters with all the home theater systems, the video surveillance cameras, the car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems. Oh, can you sit back and enjoy? And, of course, all the television, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs, everything. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and they urge you to come on in and say hello. They'd love to serve you at 421 East Main in Burley. Patterson's. Stop in and see them today. Want to also remind you again about our friends at Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric. Let your house welcome you home. Howdy. With the perfect temperature, the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access. So basically, you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. Check it out. With Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. So make yourself comfortable. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Very interested in having this next gentleman on the program. I absolutely have the utmost respect for what he is, what he represents, and what he's accomplished. And we say good morning to the president of the National Association for Grandparenting, Dr. Ken Canfield. How are you?
I'm awesome and getting better. Good to be on with you.
Well, tell me a little bit more about this association. I'm a grandparent. I'm 71 years old. Love my grandkids. I've got 5 grandsons. What is the purpose of this National Association for Grandparenting?
Well, it's to assemble the best ideas and research to help grandparents excel in this role. Now more than ever, grandparents create value and asset to their grandchildren, just their heritage, their influence and history. And I believe that many of us, as much as a third who are grandparents right now, have little to no contact with their grandparents because of life expectancy rates and displacement and so forth. And now we're in a prime time where we're thinking legacy. So we want to mobilize, encourage, and equip grandparents for excellence in this role.
The family itself, and I want to, I want to get into this a little bit later with you, as far as the American family and the lessening of the value of the family. Grandparents, what do they do to keep basically their face in front of their grandkids? In other words, what I'm asking is, there are some families, unfortunately, that are a little loose-jointed, and maybe the father or the mother really kind of shuts out the grandparents, and they can't have the contact with the children like they would like. How do you overcome this problem?
Estrangement is really affecting, I'd say, maybe 15 to 20% of the grandparents. Now, some of it is by virtue of a fracture in a prior family system, divorce, distance, and so forth. But grandparents are at a stage in life where they're considering, what is really important, and it's rebuilding and reconciling relationships. So if that's the case, I would just ponder, is there anything that I need to make right? Is there anything that I could take the initiative to rebuild in order to get access to the grandkids? And when I say access, it's for the benefit of the grandkids. Grandchildren thrive when they have involved grandparents. So it's a step in humility and just kind of reflection. The second thing is, if there is some aversion for crazy reasons, every state in the United States has grandparenting rights. Now, I don't encourage the legal recourse, but they have rights, in a sense, to some access, and it depends on where you are and what state you live in. So I think taking the honest, soft approach of saying, what can I do to make things better in order to rebuild, that's the best you can do. Now, if that doesn't work, start journaling. I guarantee someday, sometime, those grandchildren are going to look you up. They have heard about you, and just journal your thoughts and just find other grandparents, because this is, unfortunately, sadly the case that 15 to 20% of grandparents, there's this estrangement factor. They're out there. Go and find them as well and talk about, how can we work through this, and, what is your situation and so forth, and that's when you get the collective wisdom of grandparents going.
Dr. Canfield, I guess what I would ask you at this point is, we have seen, and I'm not making up the facts, that the demise of the American family, is a contributory source to the problems we see in L.A., San Francisco, Chicago, and even in small-town America. Families just aren't sitting down and eating supper together and doing things together. But how do we restore a respect for seniors and what they've accomplished and what they want to pass on to the next generation? How do we restore that respect?
Well, I think a couple of things. Recognize you're in a position of power. You have more available time and more available resources typically than the regular family. And in addition, I was thinking about the estrangement question. We have tons of articles and strategies at grandkidsmatter.org. That's grandkidsmatter.org. Available for free, that are research-based and good ideas. But the big question is, restoration comes when people take initiative. And I think grandparents have the opportunity to get out of the box, get out of the boat, get out of your own structure, and initiate the value of that connection in family. And you said it powerfully, sitting down and eating. Grandparents, you can take your grandkids out for fast food and have a good time, but eating around the dinner table, reestablishing some of those traditions that are meaningful, will be another good place to start.
Last hour we were visiting with a pastor friend of ours on this program. We were talking about the American family. We were talking about how it's kind of been like slices in a pizza, and everything seems to be going in a different direction with nothing of the pizza left. We're looking at problems with abortion. We're looking at problems with LGBTQ issues. We're looking at problems with political problems. And the young people of today seem to be torn apart from the American family, and nobody seems to know how to restructure this thing. The family is the most important unit, and I'm going to come right out and say the Bible is one of the most important things to the family, and we've got away from that.
I couldn't agree with you more. One thing I have been doing with I have 12 grandchildren, soon to be 13. With the oldest 4, who are, of age where they can read through, I got them all at the beginning of this year, chronological Bibles, and we are in sync reading through that. And I'm going to reward them. I'm going to say, we're going to take a trip with you, and it's 2 cousins from each family, so 4 total. We're going to go to the Museum of the Bible in D.C. So I've been saving my airline miles and money and, all of that sort of stuff. But I think the centrality of God's Word tells them the story of another family, a spiritual one. And as we know in business, blood is thicker than water. Well, there's something thicker than blood, and it's spirit. So for those that are estranged or dealing with issues that are huge and hard to explain, I think connecting with the spiritual family, a local church that really believes in the maxims and the truths in Scripture is one way to do it. And so I think both of those are necessary because they're both guides to wholeness and healing. And there's nothing better than a living guide, an elder. So if you're still alive and kicking, which I know you are, take the initiative to engage both spiritually and use that power of blessing that comes from grandparents and is outlined in several passages in the New and Old Testament.
Dr. Canfield, you are the author of many award-winning books. 7 Secrets of Effective Fathers is a title that really stood out when I was going over your biography. But what about today? why is it, and maybe it isn't, in your opinion, more susceptible to problems of being a father and a family today as maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago? Do you agree that it might be tougher to be a dad today?
Absolutely, absolutely. You are, think of the speed that we're living in. Each generation says, oh, we're living so faster than our parents and grandparents. Well, I mean, things are measured in nanoseconds now. And with the openness of the web that is really stripping the innocence of many of our grandchildren, if it's not controlled or policed in a good way, not in a negative way, but in a good way, we are opening them up to stuff that they don't need to be dealing with. I think of the garden analogy, this hunger for eating off of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil needs to be displaced by eating from the tree of life. And as grandparents and as elders in your particular family system, you are that tree of life. You are those roots. And so we need to, do relationally and emotionally and spiritually all we can to equip and connect with our grandchildren and our children, because our children are the gateway to our grandchildren. That's why this reconciliation piece is so important.
The high-tech society that we live in, Dr. Canfield, and I don't have to tell you, you know more about this than I do, but the high-tech society of where these kids have got their noses buried in their cell phones, their smartphones, etc., I can remember vividly the greatest times in my life were when my grandfather or my dad or a combination of all three of us used to make plans to go to a Milwaukee Braves baseball game when the Braves were still in Milwaukee. That was a long time ago. Or go to a Green Bay Packer game. And we made plans. We sat in the car and talked to each other all the way to the stadium and all the way home. We didn't have anything bothering us other than just trying to talk to each other and get to know each other.
Absolutely. Now, for men, that's critical, whether it's fishing, hunting, going to a ball game. One of the research pieces that I had privilege of doing years ago during the Promise Keepers era, when men were traveling to stadiums, it wasn't so much, and I was one of those stadium speakers speaking on fathering, and it wasn't so much the speakers that caused the great impact and change. It was those car rides that you mentioned. And so men would pile in a car, or sometimes they'd fly to an event, and the interaction that took place as they were at a hotel room or, coming or going was the most powerful time, because self-disclosure and openness about one's life and the application to whatever happened, some of the teaching, worship, and so forth, provided that venue for real accountability. I mean, vulnerability, which we need and are in short supply of.
Dr. Canfield, with your expertise and everything that you've studied and read and you've promoted in your speeches, I would think, and this is my own personal opinion, that one of the problems in our society today with fathers and mothers is that they have lost the ability to say no to their kids and mean it. Would you agree?
Well, it depends on what they are asking for. I think setting firm guidelines and structure is important. And if this is not followed, there are consequences. To that, I would agree specifically that no is one of the things that we have to learn. What that means and how that applies to my life. Now, we are unfortunately in a materialistic world, and every advertiser on the planet is trying to sell to American kids and American families. So I could say no, big time, and agree with you there. And as children mature, they have to learn self-control. And part of that is regulating your behavior, your desires and passions, and failure to do that is going to lead you in a marginalized position where you are just going to be toast. In other words, I'm thinking of the proverbial stories about young men getting drawn in, whether it's internet pornography or an actual physical relationship, and they can't say no. They think, oh, this is just too real. So, yes, to the need to say no and to set those guidelines and directives early on is good.
I want to go back and touch on something you mentioned a little bit ago in our conversation because I think it's very important. I'm in the process of writing my first book, and you have written many, but the actual sitting down, whether it's a spiral notebook or on a legal pad, whatever the case might be, people to sit down and write their thoughts about their lives and their past and their future to pass on to these grandkids, that might be the only record that these kids have for the future to appreciate what kind of a family they lived in. I really respect what you said, and I'd like you to elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure, be glad to. I wrote a book based on both research and looking at the impact of grandparents through the eyes of those children who are now adults were raised by grandparents. And I developed an acronym, the heart of grandparenting, and each letter has a specific task attached to it. And you have asked a good one. It's the H. Heritage and history is in the minds of grandparents. If you make a written record, you are actually preparing, let's say, an adolescent or pre-adolescent grandchild for an identity formation exercise that will benefit them. I've written about the Do You Know questionnaire, and you can go to grandkidsmatter.org, and there are 25 questions that I pose based on research that if your grandchildren know this, like how you met your wife, what sort of home did you grow up in, tell me about your first date. These 25 questions provide identity formation generationally that will help that grandchild make good decisions. They also endow that grandchild with a sense of confidence and security. And I believe what you're saying is writing that history is going to be a difference maker in the life of a grandchild and a grandparent as they put it down on paper.
And somebody else that might benefit from that writing is the children of that grandparent, the direct descendants, and not only to the grandkids, but also to the parents of those children, because maybe they didn't know mom and dad as well as they thought they did.
Absolutely. I have found that when I've told stories recently over the past several years to my grandchildren, my kids will tell me, Dad, you never told us that story. Well, you and I know buried in the archives of our mind are things that come to light that you thought you may have told, you thought you may have shared, but you haven't. And it's enriching the three-generational aspect of the family, the grandparents as they tell the story, the children as they hear them, and the grandchildren who love them.
You are a very refreshing man to talk to, and I wished I had more time, but I'm going to ask you if you'll come back in the future. I would love to have you back on the show. Dr. Ken Canfield, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Gentleman that I'm going to have back in the future, nationally known keynote speaker and scholar and president of the National Association for Grandparenting, nice man, Dr. Ken Canfield. Thank you for being on the program. Okay, got to pay some bills. I have been a little bit behind all morning long. We got to change some of that. I want to remind you about the Bennett Boys Auction Service. They are going to have another ripping good sale this Saturday, September 7th at 10:30 a.m. It's going to be over at the Ken and Joyce Allred Moving Sale in Buell, Idaho. Now, the address is 19818 Highway 30 in Buell, and look for the signs. They'll have plenty of signs, Bennett Boys Auction Service, and lunch by the Cook Shack. Now, they're going to have a lot of farm equipment and machinery. Massey Ferguson 65 Diesel-matic tractor, wide front end, and then they're going to have yard and garden equipment, Murray riding lawnmower. I'm just picking out one of many subjects here. A lot of shop items, Lincoln AC welder, 225 amp with leads on a cart. They've got furniture and kitchen goods. They've got recreation material like a 78 Kawasaki KE 175 motorcycle, craft items, antiques. This is going to be a really good sale. Ken and Joyce Allred Moving Sale this Saturday, September 7th at 10:30 in the morning, located in Buell, and it's on Highway 30 and managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Absolutely. By the way, too, I want to take some time. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we had a chance to almost knock the microphone over because of a fly landing on that mic. We had a chance to go over to Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living on El Fresco Road and really tour the facilities. And these wonderful people, Matt and Kelly Wiggins, came to the lunch bunch, gave a nice gift certificate, and then invited everybody over to an open house. And I was not prepared for how wonderful the surroundings are for seniors at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. I mean, my goodness, they provide 3 meals a day, beautiful kitchen area, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation to like the doctor or whatever, and absolutely a community with your friends. This is something you need to see, something you need to check out, and you need to call Matt and Kelly Wiggins to see Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. The number 650-4979. I'll repeat that number, 650-4979. Please get a hold of them today. Here's the game plan for the rest of the program. We're getting ready to send it back over to our main studios momentarily. Then we're going to come back with a young man. I still say he's a young man because he's younger than I am, Jerry Zollinger, and we're going to talk horses for a little bit. That great big sale coming up this weekend. And ask all kinds of questions. Your questions would be appreciated. So don't go away. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. And as I stated just a few minutes ago, this next gentleman on the program has been a friend of mine. His family's been a friend of mine for many, many, many years. And I have the utmost respect for their horses. Absolutely. Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch. They've been breeding top quality horses for over 70 years. 70 years. And they're going to be having their 31st production sale coming up on this Saturday. And a good morning to a dear friend, Jerry Zollinger. How are you?
Good, Zeb. How are you?
Well, I'm good, but I can imagine that you're probably running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to get everything ready for the big sale this Saturday.
No, I just sit back and I point directions. And there's nobody to point directions, trust me.
You know, Jerry, did you think growing up, I got to ask you this question, did you think growing up in the horse business that you would evolve to where you are today with the best of quarter horse bloodlines?
Absolutely not. I didn't think I would be where I'm at. I really thought maybe I would be more into the cow end of it, you know, and we're more into the horse end of it. So that's where we've ended up.
Now, when I asked you that question in regards to as a child or a young man growing up with your family, I know in my case, sometimes dad says this and you kind of shy away and you want to do your own thing. But really, over the years of 70 years of developing these top-notch bloodlines like Pepto Boonsmall and Bodie Boonsmall and Leo and Shining Spark and Pocotivio, you've really got something there.
Every day I get on the computer, believe it or not, I'm not computer illiterate, or I am illiterate, I should say, but I get on that every day and I look for old blood. The old blood is what's kept us alive for this long, and it crosses so good to the newer stuff, the Peptos or the metallic cats or anything that way. So I'm on the search for something like that every day. And it's getting harder and harder to find, Zeb. It's just hard.
Well, let me ask you this. A lot of people, I don't mean to interrupt you, Jerry, but you bring up a really good point right there. What difference, a lot of people might be saying, do genetics play in getting a good horse? So why should you be concerned about this quote-unquote good bloodline?
Genetics is a part of everything we do in life. Whether it's the cow industry, whether it's the horse industry, you're always searching for that certain bloodline, that certain demeanor of dispositions. It's in everything you go to, whether it's a dog or a horse or a cow. It don't matter. I mean, we all look for it. Some people crave something else, and some, I don't know. What I do know is that when you take your older bloodline horses or your older bloodline cows and cross them back to the new, you're actually getting something different and something that's got a little bit of new blood, so you got a little more fire in them maybe, or a little more pizzazz to go do something. And the old blood seems like it mellows it back out to where it's tolerable, to where anybody can do anything with them. And that's what our goal is.
Well, and these names that I threw out earlier, like including your stallion battery, includes Sons of Playgun, Pepto Boonsmall, Bodie Boonsmall, Leo, Shining Spark, Pocotivio. I mean, these are champions that have made a lot of money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Playgun's produced over $6 million worth of colts and on the winning side of it. So, I mean, and Pepto's done the same. To breed to them horses, you can still breed to them, but to breed to the Pepto horse, you're $10,000 easy. I haven't priced it out. The metallic cat horse, to go get a colt out of him, you're $15,000 just to get a breed feed to him.
Wow.
They're high dollar horse. I mean, they're people's getting the money out of them, and people's realizing what horses are, and they might be an expensive hobby to somebody, but they're sure rewarding.
Jerry, let me ask you this. You said you go to the computer every day and you're tracing these bloodlines, and you say they're being harder and harder to find. And I guess my obvious question would be why and how? I mean, eventually are these lines going to be absolutely gone?
Yeah, the Leo horse is about gone, Zeb. Today, we own the highest percentage of Leos in the United States. I've got a mare there that's 42% Leo, and you can't find another one like her. People forgot about them. They've got into this new stuff. It's just like your iPhones or anything else. Hey, I got an iPhone 7. And here, I've still got a flip phone. You know what I mean? They've just kind of forgot about them. So when you forget about them, horses don't last 40 years, 50 years. You can get one at 30 at tops, the average. And so after that 30 years, they just start to diminish. They start to get weaker on the blood, the Leo blood of it, or the king or whatever. I mean, but they just seem to breed that out of them, and it gets less and less into the bloodlines. And it dang sure makes a difference on them.
Well, you talk about these bloodlines, and you're talking about quality horses, good-looking horses. We're talking about horses with good dispositions. And tell us a little bit about these fillies and colts you're going to be selling up there on Saturday. What kind of bloodlines are they from, and what kind of events or work can they do in the future?
What our main goal is on producing the colts that we've got and the quality of colts we do, first of all, I look at the pedigrees. When I take a mare to a stud horse, I want to make sure that's what I want to keep it on the ranch, you know, for a replacement or anything that way. Then I go to confirmation, structure, see, you know, if they're going to combat, you know, and kind of picture in your mind what you're going to get in the result. And then number 3, color's a bonus, you know, but I'm not after the color. I'm more after the brains and the disposition and the bloodlines more than anything. But that's been our goal, is to produce the horse that I can go team rope on, or I can turn around and go on a pleasure ride, or I can go work a cow with a neighbor, or go help the neighbor get his cows in and get along with it. You know, 6 months later after I've turned him out, you can still go get on him.
Jerry,
that's kind of been our goal for so long.
Jerry, on these colts and fillies that are going to be up for production sale this Saturday, I mean, have a lot of them been handled? Are they used to being around people? Tell us a little bit about their personalities.
This is the best part about everything on my behalf, is I don't do nothing with them. I bring them in. Monday we branded and wormed the colts. There is a couple that's halter broke that I've had to doctor or something throughout the year, but the majority of them has not been touched. But here's the beauty. You can walk through them and dang near walk up to every one of them colts and touch them. And they have not seen a human all summer. They're not wild. That's called the disposition. You can walk up to them. You might not be able to reach out and touch them the first time, but I guarantee you, after 5 minutes of messing with one, you can lead them all over. They're really super smart colts.
You know, Jerry, the sales.
Not bad one yet. I hope I don't, but every time you turn around, you usually get an apple somewhere.
Oh, I can agree with that. Listen, the sale's going to be at 11 o'clock this Saturday up at the ranch in Oakley. And I think one question that I didn't ask the last time, I should ask you this time. What do people need to know if they're coming to the sale and are planning on buying a colt? Do they need to bring anything? Do they need to have any information? Please tell the audience what they need to bring.
Bring their horse trailers. The colts will be weaned that day. If they need a day or two, I have no problem with that, but I try to get them back out on the range as soon as I can. Checks, no credit cards, but check or cash basis. Bring their bodies and have fun.
Now, 11 o'clock. Now, is there a time earlier they can come up and kind of talk to you a little bit and kind of walk through the pens and look at the colts and the fillies? Give us that information.
They can come anytime. I've got all the horses there right close. I can jump at the side-by-side or kick them loose, and they can go drive through them and have a date with their wife if they want to. But, yeah, you can come look at them anytime. I usually have them in the corral by 8 o'clock that Saturday morning, and we're catching and brushing and carrying on that way. But no, they're welcome to come all week long if they wanted to.
Oh, why don't you give us a little synopsis of the people and some of the things that are going to happen that day of the sale, starting at 11 o'clock? Your auctioneer and everything else. Tell us that.
Auctioneer's Keith Munns from Rexburg, Idaho. He's been a family friend and I think I've sicked him on you on the radio once.
Yep.
But he's been a family friend for, forever, 50 years probably. And his sale was last week, and we kind of help each other out. And, most of our help up there is all family and close friends, and Saturday's busy until about 3 o'clock, and then it kind of slows down for us. All the pressure's off.
I know that, and I know it's a pressure-filled event for you. And then, you must kind of have a melancholy approach to this, because you've been around these colts and fillies since they were born, and to see them go, it's got to be a little sad sometimes.
Zeb, like I said, I thought I would be into the cow deal more than the horses until the accident with my dad, and I understand now what his big deal was with the horses. And it's going out in the spring and don't know it's like opening a Christmas package every day for 2 months. You don't know what you're going to get until it's there. And, every horseman's dream lays in the belly of a broodmare, and I firmly believe that. I mean, you're always dreaming for that next world champion or that next cross that you just can't live without. And I know where he come from it. I know why he collected them. They're novelty, or not a novelty, but I don't even know I don't even know what I'm trying to tell you. But it was an honor and a blessing to be able to have what I've got.
Absolutely.
You know, that we've been able to raise, and when you're having a bad day, to go put your arm around a horse, and they don't talk back. They seems like they understand, and you can get a lot of feelings out on one in a hurry.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Jerry. Are you and the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch, are you kind of a dying breed in this country? Have people lost the respect and the want to be owners of horses? Are breeders, good horse breeders, a thing of the past? What's going on in the industry?
I don't think we are. The good ones will be around. They'll stay around. The backyard one, you know, that's got a stud horse that wants to breed it to here and there, they're going to struggle a little bit. But I think the horse deal is strong. I think, you know, when you're paying $10,000 and $15,000 for a broke gelding, I would say that's pretty dang strong. And these colts, you know, you've given anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 for a baby colt. I think it's still there, and I think people still have the love for horses. And if you know, I think it's pretty strong. The economy's good, and I look at it to be pretty strong for a while yet.
All right. Jerry, I want you to please tell my audience, when they get to Oakley, how do they get to the ranch?
When you come to the four-way stop in Oakley, don't go past it. You'll get lost. Hang a left and go right towards Lake Independence. It's 4.5 miles out of Oakley, and hang a right, and you can't miss it. There's Indian horses everywhere.
All I can say is that I've known this young man for a long time, and it's true. The best of bloodlines, the best of horses at this 31st annual production sale, Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch, this Saturday starting at 11 o'clock. Jerry, I extend to you to have a great sale. I hope everything goes wonderful for you.
Thank you very much, Zeb, and you do the same, and do not yell at Deanne.
I have no reason to.
That's what I was told to tell you. Be nice to Deanne.
God bless you for helping me. Thank you very much, Jerry, and good luck this Saturday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
All righty. Jerry Zollinger, and they've been breeding top-quality quarter horses for over 70 years. And believe me, look at the catalog. Look at these colts and fillies, and oh, boy, you're going to be there. If you love horses, this is a good sale for you. 11 o'clock this Saturday up at the ranch at Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch in Oakley. Right now, we've got to get a weather forecast on, and the weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, and the telephone number to call Don and the rest of the crew, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, all the delicious meats. I mean, there's still going to be a lot of great weather left, and maybe you got a family gathering or a company gathering, whatever. Please get a hold of Scarrows Meats. They've got all the marinated pork ribs and the tri-tips and all the sausages and the bratwurst, everything at Scarrows Meats. We'll tell you more right after Gina has the weather.
It looks like it's going to be another warm day for today, maybe some storm action for tomorrow and later on in the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today, slightly breezy out of the northwest at about 7 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 91. Tonight, more clouds are going to be rolling into the valley, dropping us down to about 58 in the overnight. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, but we do have a 20% chance of rain showers or thunderstorms in the forecast, mostly in the afternoon, with a high of 90. That's going to increase to 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow night, with a low of 57, and that could carry over for Friday. So it's going to be muggy, high of 91. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. She does a great job getting our weather all put together every day on Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you very much. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Don, I got to call Don, and I'll invite. I got a little method of my approach here. I'm going to call him and say, "Gee, Don, I'd love to have you come by and be on the program live. And oh, by the way, bring some brats with you, would you please? Oh, delicious meats from Scarrows Meats, 331 241 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I have had, in my opinion, a lot of fun, a lot of humility, and a lot of cherished moments this morning on this program with the guests and some of the things we've talked about. And I have a little time here, about 8 or 9 minutes. I'd love to have some calls and share with me what your thoughts are in regards to what we've talked about this morning regarding the flag and what we've talked about regarding family, etc. Love to hear from you, so give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I referred to this earlier this morning, and I think this lady is spot on with her thoughts and her beliefs. Fox News host of a show on Fox News, Judge Jeanine Pirro, made the statement that she believes there is a plot to remake America. And I agree with her. She just recently wrote a book called Radical Resistance and Revenge, and she's very concerned about the direction that America is going. And she said, quote, "You can see everything is upside down. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, law and order, respect for authority." And she said she's worried about the anger coming from the left and what she sees as an effort to silence conservatives. And you know, this is interesting that she'd make this quote yesterday or the day before, and then we hear about some of the Hollywood buffoons, and they are, like the stars of that TV show Will and Grace, and the gentleman in particular by the name of Eric McCormick, coming out, and they were advocating a list, if you will, of those in Hollywood, be they actors or directors, producers, or anyone that is a fan of the Republican Party and or Donald Trump or conservatives in general. They wanted to have a list of supporters at various fundraisers for Donald Trump so that they, quote, knew who not to work with. A blacklist. Is that what we're coming to? This has happened in the past with these lists, if you will. And are we as a nation going to go back to lists and shunning and putting people in jeopardy because they support someone different than our candidate or vote for someone different? Very scary times right now. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know something? When somebody tries to shame you into doing wrong or believing wrong, and you allow it, you are, I don't know what description I could use. The one I want to use would make me banned from the radio. So, you see, that's the thing. When are we individual? Do we have thoughts of our own? Do we know enough to know better? Do we know enough? Do we care enough to learn? Do we know anything? Or we just, I don't know. It scares me. There's so many people in this country that don't want to know, don't care to know, don't have the ambition to get out of their mom and dad's house.
You know, Randy, your point is really well taken with me, because I'm looking at a society today. Maybe you don't agree with this. I don't know. But I look at society today as to where the first time in my life I'm seeing kind of a funneling. Let's use that word, kind of like a gas funnel. Everybody stands at the wide entrance of that funnel, and then they're being pushed into that funnel with a narrower and narrower approach to the end. And it's like the Democratic Party. You either belong and go along with our liberal buffoonish ideas, or you're going to be left out in the cold.
Yeah, it's fascism. You force people to do what you want. You shame them, you force them, you do whatever you need to. I see, again, you just have to be your own person, but you gotta, know enough to know better. And so it scares me to death. I don't know, again, what is it going to take for the young people to realize that listening to any of these candidates for presidents for the Democrats, every one of them are off their rocker, and there's no way that it could ever work. And if they took us down the road they want to take us down, we would end up in a place that we may never return from. And you can't do that. And it's just wrong. But you see, again, when people take me and my family, my friends, to a place that I know is wrong as hell, and I can't stop it, I feel helpless. And so, you just are frustrated.
Well, don't weaken, don't ever quit, because I've said on this program for a long, long time, never accept defeat. Never accept losing. Never accept less than you can be. And when you do get beat one time, you always come back, try harder, and you will succeed. That's my motto.
Of course. It's just like Boise State. I know it sounds funny, but let's face it. Football makes men out of young men.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
What they did Saturday, I know, and they say, it's a game. No, it is a game, and it is a great thing. And thank God we have some sort of a release. And it gives us, it's good for our heart and soul to see men being men instead of, feminizing the men of our country.
Absolutely.
It's happening more. I see man buns. Forgive me. I'm not sure I'm into the man bun thing.
Well, I can guarantee you that this fat cowboy sitting on the other side of this telephone is never going to have one. Randy, God bless you, man. We appreciate your call. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Hey, I want to give a great big shout out to our number one sponsor, our big sponsor, major sponsor, our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with not only the best in tires, but also the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and so much more. And of course, like I said, the best in tires, all the sizes, all the tread designs for you and your driving. Please don't put it off. Go in today and talk to the best, work with the best at your 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Here they are: Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best. They are your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, Sharon is going to head up the program, and she's been a godsend to Deanne and I to, on alternate Thursdays, come in and take over the Thursday programming so that Deanne and I can get some other things done that we need to take care of. And I certainly appreciate your welcoming her and calling her and making her feel welcome on my program. So Sharon Wilmot will be here on tomorrow's show. I've got time for one quick call. I mean, really quick caller. I've only got a matter of seconds. Go ahead.
Hi, Zeb. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, I was just calling. I was listening quickly last night to Mark Levin, and they were talking about this shooting in West Texas that happened over the weekend. And I remember when I was young, my father was on an outing into Nevada, and he was at that car museum, and he ran into a fellow that was a Russian, and my dad struck up a conversation with him, and this fellow told my father, he says, "Don't ever let him get your guns or you'll be done."
Amen. Amen. I seem rude when I say this to you, but I think you can understand I've got to be dictated to by the clock. I'm out of time. I hope you call back in next Monday. I'd love to visit with you more about this. Thank you for your call and your comment. God bless and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
You too.
Thank you, sir. He's spot on, believe me. Hey, I've got to run. And the way things were, the way things ought to be, and we end it by saying, and we mean this, in God we trust. See you next Monday. Zeb at the Ranch.